Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Sharanam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 10, Chapter 70, Text 28. Chapter is entitled Lord Krishna's Daily Activities. Swapnaitam nrupasukham paratantramesha Shashvadbhayena mritakena duram vahama Hitva tadatmani sukham tvadaniha labhyam Klishyamaheti kripanastava mayayeha Swapnayitam nrupasukham paratantramesha Shashvadbhayena mritakena duram vahama Hitva tadatmani sukham tvadaniha labhyam Klishyamaheti kripanastava mayayeha Swapnayitam nripasukam paratantramesha Shashvadbhayena mritakena duram vahama Hitva tadatmani sukham tvadaniha labhyam Klishyamaheti kripanastava mayayeha Swapnayitam, like a dream, Rupa of kings, Sukham, the happiness, Paratantram, conditional, Isha, O Lord, Shashvat, perpetually, Bhayena, full of fear, Mritakena, with this corpse, Dhuram, burden, Vahamaha, we carry, Hitva, rejecting, Tat, that, Atmani, within the self, Sukham, happiness, Tvat, done for you, Aniha, by selfless works, Labhyam, to be obtained, Krishyamaha, we suffer, Ati, extremely, Kripana, wretched, Tava, your, Mayaya, with the illusory energy, Iha, in this world. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada disciples Ki Jai. Translation: O Lord, with this corpse-like body, always full of fear, we fear the burden of the relative happiness of kings, which is just like a dream. Thus we have rejected the real happiness of the soul, which comes by rendering selfless service to you. Being so very wretched, we simply suffer in this life under the spell of your illusory energy. Purport: after expressing their doubts in the previous verse, the kings herein admit that actually they are suffering because of their own foolishness, having given up the eternal happiness of the soul in exchange for the temporary conditional happiness of the so called kingly position. Most people make a similar mistake, desiring wealth, power, prestige, aristocratic family, and so on in exchange for their own soul. The kings admit that they have fallen under the spell of the Lord's illusory energy and have mistaken the tremendous anxiety of political leadership for happiness. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnanjanashlalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameham Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadhanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitan Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nite Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratvise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gaudodaya Pushpavanto Chitro Shando Tamonudam. Hare Krishna. So in this purport, in this translations, so the kings are appealing to Yadavas that because of Jarasandha, they are aggrieved. These kings actually, they have been historically fighting amongst each other. But now, since because they are all miserable, they came together and they are all making this appeal to Krishna. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes, Prabhu was giving me a reference. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes a commentary wherein he explains that this particular verse, there is a conversation between Krishna and these kings. So Krishna is asking them, my dear kings, so are you all, are all of you, you want to be my devotees or you want to be my enemies? You want to be my friends or my enemies? So immediately the kings, they are very aptly declare that, we have gone beyond this friends and enemies conception. We want to be your surrendered devotees. We want to surrender everything. We don't want to get into this concept of friends and enemies like that. so, so these kings, that is the import of this verse, like that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says. And because these kings, they themselves had, they had, been performing their kingly duties, and they have been dealing with, Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto, when Shanda and Amarka were teaching them the philosophy of friends and enemies. So Prahlad Maharaj says, according to Shanda and Amarka, they, everyone in this world is identified either as your friend or as your enemy. They belong to either the category of being your friend or being your enemy, no other category. And Prahlad Maharaj says there is a category beyond this. What is that category? The category is Pandita Samadarshina. He says that, we consider everything to be Krishna's property. And everything is Krishna's property, then neither is our friend, neither is our enemy. Everything is related to Krishna, like Madhyamadhikaris. They also discriminate. It's not that they don't discriminate. They discriminate. How do they discriminate? They see Krishna, and they see, those who are devotees of Krishna, and they see those who are innocent, those who are potential devotees of Krishna, and they also see those who are inimical to Krishna. And for their own devotional service, and also for the devotional service of the benefit of the mankind, they make friendship with those who are devotees of Krishna. They serve Krishna, and they offer compassion to those who are innocent, and they keep distance from those who are inimical. So like that. So devotees see everything in relationship to Krishna, unlike uh, unlike uh, uh, unlike materialists who always calculate everything in relation, like this verse it is explained, everything in relationship to their own sense gratification, and they see everyone in relationship to whether he is my friend or he is my enemy. So that is the basic difference which is being described in these verses. Kunti Maharani, when she offers offers her prayers, one of the prayers which she offers is that uh, what is that? Drudam Pandu Suvrishneshu. What is that prayer? Huh? Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Drudam Pandu Suvrishneshu. Where she says that Pandavas are also devotees of Krishna. Vrishnis are also devotees of Krishna. But she says, please sever the relationships with this. And so Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport. Prabhupada writes when Kunti Maharani is saying sever the relationship with Pandavas and Vrishnis, she is referring to material aspect of relationship. Because along with Krishna's presence, brings spiritual happiness and also material prosperity. Like for example, when Krishna was in Vrindavan, he was keeping all the demons at bay. No one could attack them. But Mathura, there was so much problem. Kamsa had created such a huge uproar, had created so many problems for all the Vrishnis. They had to run away, they had to hide here and there. It comes in Bhagavatam. They had to hide here and there, different places. They had to hide. Vasudeva and Devaki themselves, they had to, they were imprisoned for at least 18 years, if not more than that, because 8 children were born, and then Krishna was 10 years old when he came. So Vasudeva and Devaki were imprisoned for at least for 18 years. And all the different Vrishnis, they had to go everywhere. So that when Krishna left Vrindavan, and in between he sent a message through Uddhava also, he said that there are all these demons who are attacking Mathura, so therefore I have to give them protection. I have to offer them protection. So therefore kindly pardon me. I will not be able to come immediately. So in this way, so he was offering protection to Mathura Vasis. And then surely, as soon as he came, he killed Kamsa, he released Vasudeva and Devaki, and he made Ugrasena as the king. And he said that even Devatas don't fear me. What to speak of, will not fear you because I am here. What to speak of earthly kings like that. So, like that, so there is so much prosperity as well. We see when Draupadi was being disrobed, Krishna says, I would have stopped it. But then I was busy dealing with Shalva. And so basically, all the Mathura was in order to protect them, he took them to Dwaraka, and he was, he kept them uh, in a protected place. And Shalva was attacking to the extent that Vasudeva was being beheaded, and Krishna became momentarily bewildered. So Krishna says, I was dealing with Shalva, so therefore I couldn't come and protect you. Like that he says. That is the reason he gives, at least. So Kunti was knowing all these things basically. When she was saying, it's not that, when she was saying, it's not that, she was, she was knowing that, Krishna's presence not only, surely it brings spiritual happiness. Of course, Kunti is beyond all these things because by the very prayer she offered that, my Lord, let the calamities come on again and again so that you will come and protect us. Surely Kunti is beyond all these things. But then, at the same time, Kunti was weighing, okay, will he be with Pandavas? That will bring spiritual happiness. Oh, but then Vrishnis will be bereft of his association. Vrishnis are also my own family members. And so Krishna should be with Vrishnis. So then he thinks, oh, no, it's not about being my family members or not being my family members. And then she thinks that probably Pandavas are actually my family members because, though I belong to Vrishnis, I'm with Pandavas. So therefore, Pandavas are actually my family members. So then she thinks, yeah, it's not about being my family members or not being my family members. It's about, what is Krishna's happiness. So then she goes on to say, Sneha Pashamimam Chindi Drudam Pandashu Vishnishu. Give up, oh Lord Krishna, please break these bonds of material attachment. Please break these bonds of material attachment. Let the spiritual attachment remain. So, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, when Nityananda and Advaita are fighting with each other, we should not take anyone's side. Generally, we don't take anyone's side. Why? Because we are indifferent to them. We have nothing to do with Nityananda, we have nothing to do with Advaita. so there is no problem. so we are indifferent to both of them, so there is no problem. Yeah. In general, we don't take anyone's side because if we are indifferent to them or we are transcendental to them. So, so, so like that. But Vrindavan Das Thakur says, so we should not take sides of anyone. When two Vaishnavas have differences of opinion, be it spiritual or so-called material, we should not take sides of anyone. So during Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time itself, there were two groups which were formed, and they had serious differences. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was not very happy. He admonished again and again repeatedly. And later on, just before leaving, he gave a heavy lecture. He said that, these two groups, they have formed, and a devotee does not want to identify with either. I do not want to identify with either. I want to identify with Krishna and be servant of Vaishnavas. Like that he says. We can see through example of Prabhupada himself. Prabhupada, writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita purports that, I don't want to identify with, we are not interested in either party. We are interested in serving Krishna. And eventually Prabhu also served all the Vaishnavas like that. So in this way, this example has been set up for all of us. Of course, having said this, it's also important. It's extremely important because if you don't identify with Vaishnavas, whom will you identify with? Will you identify with materialists? So therefore, sometimes we say better to have some relationship rather than no relationship. But best is to have a spiritual relationship. The whole crux of the thing is this: that to have a spiritual identity and not some social or political identity. So to make Krishna as the center. So we can serve Vaishnavas when we make Krishna as the center. Otherwise we can't. Otherwise as Kunti Maharani is saying, it could be some materialistic attachment. So therefore that care has to be taken to make Krishna as the center. How do we make Krishna as the center? Machita matgata prana kadayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This is how we make Krishna as the center. Krishna is the center. How do we make? When we come to a Sankirtan. Sankirtan means to come together and do Kirtan. To come together and glorify Krishna. To come together and to serve Krishna. Machita matgata prana kadayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. One time one devotee asked His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, it was a very heavy question, loaded question. He said, Maharaj, sometimes your association is very less, and we don't know. He asked in Bhagavatam class, we don't know how many years you will stay in this material world. So after you leave, what are we going to do? so, So Maharaj says, immediately says, Machita matkata prana kadayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So he says, when devotees come together, chant Hare Krishna together, serve together, and glorify Krishna together, then that is the best shelter. So like that. So that is the hope basically. Jai Shri Jai Shri Nitai Gaurang ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So that is the hope basically. Because if we do not put faith in association of devotees, where do we put faith otherwise? We don't have any other place where we can put our faith. Sometimes devotees become so frustrated with everyone, so therefore they leave Krishna consciousness altogether. That is the worst thing that can happen. So and they become loners, or they become faithless and all. So so that is the worst thing that can happen. So basically, to keep Krishna, we can serve Vaishnavas when we keep Krishna as the center of our activities. Otherwise, we'll not be able to serve. Like Kunti Maharani is praying, Sneha Pasham Imam Chinti Dhrudam Pandasya Vrishnishu. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself, before leaving, he tells, he identifies the problem. He says that the problem of this whole thing is, because of material insecurity and the desire for puja la pratishtha. So he pens an appeal for all the devotees. He speaks some 8 to 15. He writes a letter to all the sannyasis. This is a letter to all the sannyasis. He writes some 8-10 instructions, 12 instructions. This is not a letter to brahmacharis. This is a letter to sannyasis, wherein he says, whatever sannyasis do for personal sense gratification should be done by going barefoot. Never use shoes nor conveyances. They should not even use the worst of vehicles, let alone the first-class ones. They should never accept service from another. They should never engage anyone to rub their body with oil or massage their feet. Gormandizing and making independent arrangements for eating are to be wholly forsworn. Sannyasis should never go to a physician or take medication according to their own wish. It's the duty of a sannyasi to serve the non-sannyasis. A sannyasi residing within a mutt should give up the mentality, I am to be worshipped and served, and reside in the mutt for the sake of serving all others. Otherwise, he should return home. Excessive babugiri, drinking too much milk, and luxurious eating should be completely forsworn. There is no need for bodybuilders to reside in the mud, nor should it be like a gentleman's. Only devotees should stay in the mud, strengthening the senses by taking medicines and tonics and trying to spread one's domination to attract others' wives or desiring to do so should entirely be given up. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati is very, very intelligent. He knows people's inclinations. You should always remember that Krishna is the only Lord and enjoyer of all, and that I am the servant of everybody. One should serve a devotee according to his level of bhakti. We cannot attain any spaciousness as we are not delivered from the evil elephant of considering that others should serve us. The fire of lust that burns for sensual indulgence should be extinguished. A brahmachari should not wish to become a sannyasi to procure enhanced sense enjoyment. The desire to dominate is not at all devotional service. To consider a sannyasi a vilasi and wanting to become a sannyasi with that motive should be totally rejected. And then he says, when a sannyasi needs any item, it is the duty of Matavasis to take care of his requirement. But with a condition. The condition is, if a sannyasi is free from false ego, then the Matavasis should serve him. One who indulges his senses and is disciple cannot serve the Lord or his devotees. We should be most careful that no type of Babugiri enters the Sri Chaitanya Mutt, Sri Gaudiya Mutt and associated Mutt, which ruin the sannyasis, grihasthas and brahmacharis. The examples that we are getting should not be tolerated. Like the sannyasis, the householder should overcome the desire. It's not only for sannyasis, it's for householders also. He says, like the sannyasis, the householder should overcome the urges of desire and anger. We must be alert not to fall to the same condition as persons creating their own misfortune by being averse to serving Hariguru and Vaishnavas, bragging, foppery, and deceitfulness to be wholly given up by Matavasis. We should never forget that Krishna is to be served at every moment, and even more indispensable is service to Vaishnavas. So like that, if we read them with attention, probably we'll maybe able to relate some of them with our own lives. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, it's because of the conditionings which we have within our own heart that we bring these material attachments in our relationship with devotees. So the essence is to keep Krishna in the center of our lives, and the essence is to make spiritual identity the primary identity and give up and attempt to give up political and social identities. Of course, we may have to maintain our identity. It's not that, in the sense that external identity, naturally we may have to. For example, if someone is a sannyasi or a brahmachari, he remains sannyasi or a brahmachari. It's not that he becomes a babaji or something like that. That's not the point. But the point is, the disposition. Disposition is to be servant of Krishna and servant of devotees, keeping Krishna as the center. So that is the disposition. Hare Krishna. There's quite some time, but whatever I had to speak, I had already spoken. If someone has some questions or comments, they can offer. Basically, it's an attempt to, it's my own attempt to follow these all instructions there, which I'm trying to speak, so that I may be able to follow it properly, and in this way, by this apply it in my own life. So if there are any questions or comments, we'll be happy to accept them. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for this wonderful class. So there are so many points that I want to ask, but to begin with, you said that like Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur Maharaj is saying that dominating tendency should not be there. It is not conducive to a spiritual path. But we see that in management, it becomes a necessary part. Unless a person has some authority, then people generally don't hear to him. So how do we maintain proper consciousness while we are managing or while we are dealing?
Such an authority should be subservient to Krishna. The opulence which we have in our life is Krishna's. Krishna, it has to be Krishna given. Then only we'll be able to handle it. In Ekalavya, when he was inimical to Arjuna, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati writes an article on that. Why this is not appropriate. So he says that Ekalavya is also a great hero. He's also very powerful. Arjuna is also very powerful. But what is the difference between Arjuna's strength and Ekalavya's strength? Arjuna's strength is Krishna given. It is Krishna's opulence. So if someone becomes envious of it, if someone wants to compete with it, then that is that is surely being inimical to Krishna's and Vaishnavas, Krishna and Vaishnavas. So like that. Arjuna himself says, first canto, he says that, oh, Krishna was there with me throughout. And then I had so much strength. I did this, I did that. He tells so many things. I single-handedly conquered all the Kauravas. So it's not that he's speaking out of pride. Uh, he says that, because Krishna was there with me. Because Krishna was there with me, even Indra came and subordinated himself to me. And then he goes on to say, when Krishna is not there, with the simple, ignoble, cowherd man, I lost my battle. Just see. The Prabhupada writes in the purport, one should not be proud about the borrowed plumes. Like that Prabhupada writes. So our opulence should be subservient to Krishna and Vaishnava superiority. And our opulence, then it becomes Yukta Vairagya. Our opulence should be the opulence which we have, that is acquired by Krishna and Vaishnava's mercy. That becomes Yukta Vairagya.
Okay, bro. And another question I had is that, like you see that when devotees' priority is not hearing and chanting, like you're saying that like machitta madgata prana, that absorption is not there, then basically management becomes more or less material, or the consciousness in management become more or less material. So in that consciousness, even to practice spirituality, that that is seen from a material perspective. So how should a devotee who wants to engage in devotional service but not with a material consciousness, how can he cope? Because it becomes more like a material world. We are trying to engage our activities and we have to take care of how to keep our position and everything. So how a person should actually deal in such a situation?
You're yourself are answering this your question. Basically, you have to make Krishna as the center. If you keep Krishna out, then naturally it will be a materialistic outlook. We should attempt. We should keep trying. Keep trying.
Like, okay, we can be try to be spiritually aware, but unless others are not aware, then even spiritual management will become material and things will be seen from material perspective.
Therefore, devotees are there. Devotees keep telling us, bro, don't do like this, don't do like this, don't do that. So we should hear them. Devotees keep helping us. So we should hear them. So we may not have direct connection with Krishna, and therefore we need devotees. We are not, you know, we were discussing. Yeah. So we may not have direct connection with Krishna. So therefore, we should keep connecting ourselves with devotees and keep following them. Okay. So we'll end it here. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, jai. Srila Prabhupada ki, jai.